Hello and welcome to the Honest Talk by Freak Folks. I'm Harsh Pandey. For this particular session, our guest will be Dr. Satnam Deuchakar ma'am, who is here with us. She is a CEO Council of International Chamber of Commerce, Director and BOD Asia Africa Development Council, Head of Foreign Affairs, Arab Union Sustainability Development and Peace, Advisory Board Asian African Commerce and Industry, UK, Chairman International Human Rights Association, and holds top voluntary position as ambassador and key member in various other organizations throughout the globe. So first of all, ma'am, I welcome you to in this session. Thank you so much for joining and agreeing to share your thoughts with us.
You're very welcome. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's our pleasure too. So, moving to the topic of today's session, which we have chosen, is emotional intelligence. Why it's important as physical health, as we are passing through this very unprecedented, challenging time. Ma'am, my very first question to you is, or rather, it's a kind of request you, ma'am, kindly explain our viewers how do you define emotional intelligence?
See, we normally hear about a lot of kind of aptitudes and intelligence and various quotients, but this concept that's been derived basically in America and in Western societies, and which has not been very prevalent in our Asian concepts, emotional intelligence. It's our ability to understand the emotions, not only our own emotions, and then to interact accordingly, but also of the emotions of the other people. So what they go through, how they perceive situations, and what the depth of intensity is that lies within them. So this emotional emotions, this whole concept is around how possibly we deal with these emotions, ourselves and others. So first thing is to understand that there are these emotions that actually have a very pragmatic effect on our life, because these are the things that actually build us we normally talk about skills and we talk about hard skills that we learn, but these are soft skills, confidence. It's about boosting yourself. It's your morale. It's your motivation levels. It's still all required for, completing an entire human being and his perception. So that is what the emotional intelligence is.
Indeed, ma'am.
So there are various factors: self-awareness, self-motivation, empathy. There's a lot of things. There's 5 factors that actually control it. Scientifically, that's how we prove it. So the empathy, the social awareness, their own self-awareness, respect. So all these components, they actually control this quotient.
Indeed, ma'am. Actually, what we have seen is that during this pandemic, when people got stuck in inside this 4 wall of their houses, they actually started talking about this emotional health, mental health, and understand the importance why it is as important as physical health. Ma'am, my question to you is, how do you think? What do you believe? What are the types of emotional intelligence? And addition to this, one more question: can emotional intelligence be taught, or it is just means a lifelong attempt to acquire it, or it is a kind of wisdom kind of thing?
The good news is you're not like born with it. It's not a heredity factor, that recesses in the DNA. No, emotional intelligence is something, yes, you can acquire. It's all about self-preference. You have to understand. You have to build yourself around it. Okay, so there are ways you can actually learn it. People at the moment go through a lot of therapies, a lot of meditation, a lot of self-awareness concepts. There's a lot of information around. The only sometimes problem is when there is too much information. So what we have to focus is on only take what is and how much is required and what we can deal with, because sometimes even too much information is overwhelming. Okay, so at the moment, the first step, because there's a lot going around, is to keep yourself feeling relaxed. And sometimes you have to be guided. So take a lot of, it's not about which particular meditation or which particular self relaxing technique we apply. Saying physical activities, yeah, we understand we're trapped indoors. There's not we can come out. There's not we can, like, normally people walk around. But even at home, try to do some physical exercise. If you're working at home, trying to divert your mind into something constructive. something constructive at home. So I understand this challenging situation, but what I'm saying is baby steps. Baby steps are going to build us back to where we need to get to. If we try to overtake something very quickly, that's going to be difficult, and then we drop. So we're walking 10 steps ahead, but we fall 100 steps behind. That's not what we're going to do. I think we got to focus on hope that yes, things will get better easily day by day. It will take time. We have to understand there is time limit that we have to work on. But saying that, like I said, we have to still keep a very healthy mind. Healthy balanced diet is very important. So drinking loads of water, keeping yourself hydrated is equally important because see, water, everyone understands, 70% of body is water. So having lack of water will also keep you very distressed. It's sometimes we don't realize we're sitting at home and we don't realize because we're not doing those regular activities. So we're not going to feel thirsty. But we have to push ourselves to make sure that we're drinking enough water to keep ourselves hydrated. That's another thing. Not too sure. What else did you say there was?
Actually, my question was, can emotional intelligence be taught, or it is just a lifelong attempt to acquire it by self?
No, definitely. Some people are not naturally born with it, but some people have more higher insight into it, right? Because of their experiences, because of the way their environment, because of the way they live, because of the way who are people they are around them. Sometimes you learn in your classroom, sometimes you learn with your peers, sometimes you learn with your mentors. So there are ways, sometimes without knowing, you're getting trained to deal with your emotions. Okay, you're getting trained to be cultured, to be responsive, to be very open-minded towards others, to be non-judgmental, to be very, very affectionate. That sometimes you learn it from your parents. Sometimes, like I said, it's your environment. But otherwise, there are ways you can actually learn about it. There are concepts. There are actually theories. There are therapies. There are a lot of mental coaches. Health coaches that are actually training people on these subjects these days. But this is a very wide, commonly accepted now concept, which has a lot of information on internet as well. And so far, all the relevant information is there. So if people want to, build themselves around these things, there are ways you can do it. It is perfectly acquired. This concept is perfectly acquired because this is about discipline. You have to train your mind. So, but who will train your mind? Someone else can't do it for you. It's like eating and drinking. We can say someone can provide us food, someone can provide us water, but it still requires that additional effort for us to take it in, right? So it's the same way. These concepts are there, the teachings are there, everything is there, the knowledge is there. That's why I always say there is no lack of knowledge around us because even the little child these days is playing with the PCs, the Mac, and playing with whatever technology they have around them. So they are getting very exposed to internet. They're getting exposed to a lot of information. So if needs be, there are ways people are learning things. But having this knowledge again, why doesn't it help? It's all because it's discipline. Because it's not just about knowing it; it's about getting it to habit, getting it to practice. So yes, like I said again, perfectly it can be acquired.
Indeed, ma'am. Ma'am, do you think there is a difference between emotional intelligence and wisdom? And if it is, then, ma'am, please, it's a kind of request you explain to our viewers.
So sorry, say that again. Difference between emotional intelligence and
Wisdom.
wisdom. Okay. What do you describe as wisdom?
Which
Wisdom again is being knowledgeable, having more experiences in life. So wisdom is more about experience. Okay, the more experience you're exposed to, the more not just challenging, but more dynamics that you go through, more people you meet around, more you travel, more you learn about concepts, more you read, more you get these accreditations, everything all together compiles into calling wisdom. Okay, so wisdom is something again that is we are cultivating. No one's again born with wisdom. And you can say he's a wise person. What makes you wise at the end of the day is all the hard work that you put in. that reflects in your personality, that reflects in how you speak, how you carry yourself, what you know, how you actually use that information. So that is all wisdom. So what the difference between emotional intelligence and wisdom is, emotional intelligence is more about understanding emotions. Okay, so it's not necessarily wisdom. You can't say a person is wise will also be also have a very high quotient of emotional intelligence. It's not the same. You know, yes, wise people can be wise in terms of academics. They can be wise in terms of knowledge. Not necessarily they know how to deal with the emotions or how to understand or be empathetic towards other people's surrounding or their situations or their well-being or their concern. So yes, even wiser people with wisdom, whatever we call it, we still have to make sure that even if they don't know the concept of emotional intelligence, they're still empathetic. Okay, so they're still very concerning and very concerned about people. So they're very, very generous in the sense at the moment what we require. We don't know. People put up brave faces, and inside people might be fighting their worst fight because things are very challenging. Economic crises are on, job insecurities are on, financial insecurities are everywhere, knocking every door. So no one's different. If you look at the biggest of the biggest businesses, or you look at the small startups, or you look at people who are going to jobs, or you look at people even who are trying to even maintain their lifestyle by just being a vendor or being a cleaner or anything, littlest of this job or whatever, however they're meaning to survive. Everyone is facing these challenges. Sometimes people are going through a lot worse. So what do we have to do? We have to somehow rise, so first of all, we have to make sure that we're looking after ourselves, because if our health and our mental well-being is fine, then only we can rise and we can look after our family, or we can look after beyond that. If we are not capable of looking our own self, we're not capable of maintaining our own health, both ways, physical or mental, then we're being a social burden. And if we're being a social burden, then we're not acting, or we're not contributing towards the progress, or contributing towards prevention, not contributing towards anything that can be progressive. So that is very important. We have to understand our own duties. So even our own self in itself is a social system.
Indeed, ma'am, I think it's very hard to disagree with you what you have just said. Ma'am, my next question to you is, what is the relationship between emotional intelligence and leadership? Having a good emotional intelligence, how it enhances your leadership skills?
See, when leaders know exactly how to deal with their own emotions, in the sense they also face challenging situations. There are also problems around the world. They will not actually take it out on their colleagues, they will not take it out on their employees. They will find rational solutions, okay, rather than bursting out in anger, or rather than firing people, or rather than putting the blame factor into composition. What they would instead do is look at ways how they can motivate their team to perform better. So it's very important, and also they will understand why the problem is with wherever it is, and how to actually tackle with them and give them more moral support to come out of that position, to come and react and behave in a cordial way, so they can actually get better in performance. So that is why it's very important that the leaders follow this emotional empathy, this emotional intelligence. They're aware of it, because they need to be very, very aware of it. They're sitting at the right of the top. They hold a very viable position and a very responsible position. So their behavior will actually reflect down to the whole ecosystem of that company, of that whatever organization it is. So if they are not portraying the right standards, if they're not portraying the right emotional level that they have to have understanding, they will then be enhancing dangers and not actually progressiveness in the company. So that is why it's very important for them to be at that level.
Indeed, ma'am. Ma'am, my next question to you is, or actually, I'm very curious to know from you, how do you describe your leadership style?
Oh man, I understand. I'm no different at you. We're all trying to survive. We're all trying to come out of it together. Okay. If I hear people saying we're leaders, we're better than this, we're not. No, we're all humans at the end of the day. We have similar situations. All we do is we do the same. We wake up in the morning and we try to pump ourselves with a little bit of confidence, and we try to boost ourselves with positive thoughts, and we try to, reclaim the same progressive thoughts and some positive thoughts and some kind of activity that we remind up. We put a plan for the day and we work on it. And like I said, again, we put baby steps together. Okay, we see things. Not every time things are going to go according to our plans. Okay, not because anyone is a leader, whatever they say is going to come true or whatever. See, what we have in our hand is our 100% effort, which we have to put forward. And if it's not going through, it's not working, it's not making sense, we have to just gauge ourselves, very carefully, very calmly, and we have to understand how we can make it work. If not, we have to look at the right opportunities. If not, like I said, we just have to gauge the situation very wisely, very calmly. All we have to make sure is we stay calm, because it's very easy to get yourself disturbed and distracted with whatever is going on. Every minute there'll be more challenges in the building, things that you can't deal with. But somehow find that strength to fight and to motivate your own self and be there.
All right, ma'am. There's one more question I have got. Actually, when you have to deal with means a number of people, when you have a good amount of people in your team, there are certain type of disagreements between the members, as well as when you take decision. When you take any decision, there are some kind of members who actually not agree with your decision, and which is very quite obvious. There is no offense. Ma'am, my question to you is, how do you handle disagreement on your team?
See, there are going to be disagreements. We all understand, because everyone's only working around their own viewpoint. So nothing is right or wrong. They have their own experiences that they are working around. They must have had some kind of, experiences or experiments what they've done, and how they've come to that conclusion. So it's all about sitting together, not trying to be rigid on your own thought. It's about understanding where they're coming from and trying to explain where you're coming from as well. So trying to find a balance, kind of a mid ground. So, like I said, you can't always just test what someone else is putting forward just because you think that your strategy is the best. Yes, you can put it forward. You can still at least make them aware, make them assured that their viewpoint is also taken in consideration. Whatever they've subjected, whatever their output has been, and whatever the update they want to put forward, that has been taken into full consideration. And beyond that, then you sit together and you form a decision collectively.
All right, ma'am. What we have seen is that motivation is a key ingredient to enhance the productivity, and which is often used by the big organizations, big companies, and MNCs. Ma'am, my question to you is, how actually do you motivate your team?
Sometimes they have to motivate us. It's not just one person's job. Like I said, when you say team means you all work together as equals. So no one's big or small. There, without the team effort, nothing actually materializes. So dream work is the work. That what is a dream work? It's a teamwork. Do you know what I mean? So yes, motivating each other, holding hands, like again, I said, being very considerate of each one's thoughts, their views, and whatever they need to put forward. We're also working on a strategy. They're also working on a strategy, taking everyone's decisions on board. Okay? Everyone's considerations, their recommendations, putting them as a joint, you know, uh, viewing them as with the open eyes. Okay, and then giving them that additional support if they need it around. And if yes, if we're capable of being in that position that we can help, then why not?
Indeed,
That's
ma'am.
what we do.
I can say there's a lot more to learn from you, but today I don't want to take you too much of your time, ma'am. So moving to my last question of this session. Actually, the question is, what is the most difficult part of being a leader, and how do you actually measure your success for you as a leader?
So I'm so sorry. I heard what is the technical part of being a leader, and what was the last part?
And the second one is that, ma'am, how do you measure your success as a leader?
For me, success is something that is in our mind. Okay, so how we measure our own success is how we measure how do we perceive our own self. Because I can inside my own self say that I can be satisfied at various levels, and they can be very different from how people will perceive me. But if, say, for example, for someone who's not been very well, not been able to eat or drink, even to manage a little bit of food is success. Do you know what I mean? And so for someone who's not been able to work for a while, even a little bit of time that he can attend to, or even a little bit of it, will be success to him. So success is all about proportions from where we actually judge our own self. Okay, so the measure of success cannot come from outside. It only comes from inside. If you say that someone is successful, you will have 10, 20, 100 millions of people more successful. So how do you measure? How do you measure success? Who is successful at the end of the day then? How is someone classified? What is the classification of success? But like I said, it's all about self-contentment. When you feel that you've put your best effort in and you're getting the results, even if you're not getting the result, if you're satisfied with what you've done and your approach, then you're a successful person. That's how it is.
Indeed, ma'am.
At the moment, success is just dealing with your own emotions. At the moment, the success is just trying to be alive, actually. The way things are moving at the moment, the real success is just being able to lift your own self and trying a little bit to help with what you can. That is actually a true successful person at the moment. If you look at it, right? This is what actual success is. So every time, according to the situation around us, our success parameters move, and they actually contribute to what we are at that present moment.
Indeed, ma'am. I think it was a great answer from your side and a very wonderful answer. And the people those who are watching this session, they are surely going to find this useful as well as insightful. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining and giving your important time. It was a kind of healthy conversation with you on the topic. We look forward to conduct more such sessions in the future. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's nice.
On the ground is where I stand. Never give up, that was always the plan. It's so cold outside. I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold outside. I'm alone.